Hello everybody and welcome back to another Marvel Crisis Protocol custom character creation video, and for this episode of the series here we're going to be doing things slightly differently. Earlier this week we created the final of the Kanto starter final evolutions, that being Blastoise. So now we're going to go ahead and figure out how we want to incorporate Mega Evolutions into our kind of Pokemon addition to the game here. So this is going to be an interesting one. I definitely thought about a few different ways you could do this. You could totally just do it as higher threat versions of characters. You just do 6 threat Venusaur, 6 threat Blastoise, 6 threat Charizard, and 6 threat Charizard again because he's special and gets 2 of them. You totally could do it that way, and that would be totally acceptable and fine and cool. But I think we could do something a little bit more interesting with that, and also something that kind of allows us to track the requirement of you can only have 1 Mega on your team. And I also kind of like the idea of only being able to do Mega Evolutions if you're playing the Pokemon affiliation, because that's kind of the whole shtick, right? Is it's like the bond between the trainer and the Pokemon. So, playing affiliated, you're probably running a leader, so there you go. So yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting how we can do this with tactics cards. So we're gonna be using tactics cards for Mega Evolutions here. I've got Blastoise, Charizard X, and Charizard Y all set up here to be made. And yeah, this gives us the ability to add superpowers and attacks, so we can do cool things with that. And then we'll just have some text somewhere on the card that basically says, the player can only include 1 Mega Evolution in their set of 5 tactics cards, or something like that. So yeah, I think it's going to be neat, and we're going to have to figure out how we want to do this for all of them, because Mega Evolution obviously is going to be giving them new abilities, but we may also want to incorporate new attacks that we associate more with those abilities or that version of the Pokemon, and potentially some stat changes too, just changes to their defensive stats. Could be really, really interesting. So yeah, let's go ahead and kind of run through these one at a time. So we're going to start out with Venusaur, then we're going to go ahead and do Charizard, and we'll end it off with Blastoise here. So, yeah, first things first for Venusaur, he's going to be gaining the ability Thick Fat, which I've already gone ahead and opened up in another tab here. So, Thick Fat says your ice or fire type moves targeting you are going to be doing half damage. So, that's definitely going to be giving him something good on the kind of special defense side. And then in terms of stats, if we go look at the base stats here, they do go up. So his physical attack goes up by a significant amount, so does his special attack here, and then his defensive stats are all raised as well. His physical defense going up almost as high as his special defense, so he becomes a little bit more well-rounded here, and then speed stays the same. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. There's a couple different ways we could kind of go about this. For me, I'm looking at that thick fat ability, and I'm thinking, maybe something like a damage reduction on special attacks. So we give it a superpower here that says, we'll just call it thick fat, and it'll just be like special, or not special attacks, energy attacks. So we'll go ahead and grab the symbol for that here. Energy attacks DR by 1. And yeah, we'll actually have that be to no minimum. I think that's fine. This is taking a tactics card slot, so that's going to be very much a real thing that we can include there. So obviously we're going to have to word that out properly in a moment, but I want to see what else we can kind of do with him here, because his physical attack stat and his special attack stats do both go up by 1, so we could increase his number of dice on these. I feel like that might be pushing it though for what a tactics card is doing for him, because this is going to be lasting for the entirety of the game. So we do have to keep that in mind. I don't think the stat changes are too hugely significant that we should be really changing any of the other numbers on his card here. So yeah, if anything, I think maybe we do something like his power whip gets a single reroll, or something like that. There's an argument to raise his physical defense, but it's already quite high here, so I don't think we really want to do that. So honestly, I think maybe just the thick fat ability is enough. Is that worth a tactics card? I think it might be. If you're playing this into a really energy heavy team, and you want to use Venusaur, this suddenly makes Venusaur actually really, really solid. So yeah, I think that's probably worth it. A tactics card slot giving him energy DR for the entire game seems pretty good. Alrighty, so we've gone ahead and worded this out here. First of all, we've got the kind of technical stuff out of the way here. After deployment, Venusaur might play this card. It gains the Thick Fat superpower, and then a squad may only include 1 Mega Evolutions tactics card. And then we have the Thick Fat superpower. So when he would suffer damage from a energy attack, reduce the amount suffered by 1. Additionally, he rolls 1 additional defense die against energy attacks. I think because we're not giving him any other sort of stat boosts, basically bumping his energy defense by 1 will feel a little bit better. It makes him a 5/4/4 with DR on that second 4 there, or that first 4 rather. And yeah, that feels pretty good. I mean, he's got the healing, so giving him that extra little bit of bulk is really going to be noticed, especially since it's healing that doesn't take an action or anything like that. So yeah, I think that's definitely going to be pretty solid. And yeah, I think if we push Power Whip or Solar Beam anymore, they're going to be too strong. So I'm going to leave those as they are. And I think I'm pretty happy with that. I think that works for Mega Venusaur. Moving on to Mega Charizard X, we have a few things that we need to figure out here. So first things first, Charizard, of course, having 2 Mega Forms. We're going to have to see what kind of the main difference between them here is. So in both cases, his attack and his special attack, it looks like, are going up. But Mega Charizard Y is clearly the one that's meant to be for special attack, whereas X is meant to be physical attack, going up to a 130 here. Whereas the Y goes up to a 160. So I think that's going to be kind of our main thing here. And then Y is a little bit more specially defensive, whereas X is more physically defensive. And that's kind of our main change here. The speed stays the same across the board. So we kind of have our more physical-oriented one versus our special-oriented one. That just kind of makes sense here. So they do get 2 new abilities. The X version is getting the Tough Claws ability, boost the power of his contact moves by approximately 30%. Okay, cool. So it's going to make moves that are you know, making physical contact more powerful. Whereas Drought here, it summons Harsh Sunlight. So that's going to be really, really interesting how we're gonna make that one work. Because we do have, I believe, Sunny Day factored in on the card here. So if we go to Charizard, we have Solar Power here already kind of taking effect here. And nicely enough, we do have Flare Blitz, which is going to be a contact move. So we have something we can kind of play around with. I think there's an argument that we could treat Air Slash as if it was a contact move as well for the sake of this, or perhaps maybe we give him a different attack instead of Air Slash if he goes into X mode. Could be interesting. So I think Y is going to be the easier one. We'll do that first, because Y, I'm basically thinking we're going to... Oh, this is scary, but I'm half tempted to say Solar Power costs 0. That could be a little spooky. You know what? That might be fine. It hurts you to do it. It makes Flamethrower really good. It's a 2 cost. It makes it a 2 cost beam 8. That's a little scary. I don't know if that's too good. All right, so I think I found a solution to making the solar power for free thing not super broken, because Flamethrower I think just becomes way too strong if you can make this free as many times as you want. So basically we just limit it to once per turn. So we give him the Drought superpower, which says he can reduce the power cost of the solar power ability by 2 once per turn. So yeah, that does make it free. And yeah, basically once per turn he's gonna let out an 8 dice flamethrower for free, and then he's still gonna have to use like Air Slash and stuff to gain the power back. So I don't feel too bad about that. And yeah, I think that seems pretty solid. That's gonna really let him hit harder on that side. And then maybe we also bump his energy defense up by 1. Although I don't know if he needs that. Yeah, sure, we'll give it to him. I think we can do that. So we'll just add that clause here real quick. Alrighty, so there we go. It's also going to put him up to a 5 energy defense, which is pretty solid. So yeah, he's basically really pushing the flamethrower attack when you're using this card. And yeah, I think that could be really solid. In a world where E-shapes still exist, that's definitely a very, very powerful ability to have access to. As for X, I think we're going to go a slightly different route here. We're actually going to be changing up his moveset a little bit, which is something I don't think has really been explored in Tactics cards, so I'm kind of excited. So we're going to be giving him something that will actually be affected by Tough Claws here, because Air Slash isn't. So we want to give him a move that is actually, you know, a physical attack. Fire Fang is an option. I don't know if that's quite what I want to go for. I kind of want to go just for like, is Dragon Claw something he can learn? I feel like it should be. And if it is, I mean, it makes sense because he becomes a dragon type and everything when he's in this form. So I think that would be kind of what I would want to go for. I'm not seeing it. Oh, here it is. Perfectly. So yeah, Dragon Claw is something he can learn from TM usually. So let's see what we could do with this. Dragon Claw, as far as I'm aware, is pretty much just, yeah, it's an increased critical hit ratio, But otherwise, it's just a regular attack. And even then, the increased crit hit looks like it's just in Arceus, so that makes sense. Um, yeah, I think we go for something like that. I think it becomes really, really interesting there. So what we're going to do with X here is we're going to give it an attack, and that is going to be Dragon Claw. And yeah, this is just going to be a closer range attack. Let's compare it to Air Slash, because we need to make sure whatever we're doing is going to be better than Air Slash was. So I'm thinking this is going to be a 7 dice range 2 attack that is going to be on the physical side for sure. And we want to give it that Pierce. So the other one had a crit Pierce. We'll give this one a Wild Pierce, because that just makes sense. And what do we want to do for the increased critical chance? Do we want to maybe say... I don't know. Do we want to say your crits count as 2 or something like that? It's going to be a builder, so we got to be somewhat careful with it. But maybe we give it like 1 skull can count as a crit, like basically a pseudo reality gem or Red Skull 3 leadership. That could be kind of neat. I don't hate that. Alrighty, so we got a lot of text on this card here. So this gives us the Dragon Claw attack. It's going to replace the Air Slash attack, so you are losing access to a little bit of range here, but you're gaining a range 2 7 dice builder with a Pierce that has Skull critical hit before the Resolve critical step. This character may choose 1 Skull to treat as a crit for the remainder of the attack, and then when this character makes a physical attack targeting a character within range 2, this character may reroll 1 die in the attack roll. That's the Tough Claw's superpower. So it only applies to physical attacks, so we can't use this on his flamethrower here, but it's going to apply to Flare Blitz and his new builder attack here in Dragon Claw. Now, this might be too strong, I'll be completely honest with you. I think we might have pushed Dragon Claw just a little bit too much here, being a 7 dicer with a Pierce, with a Skull as a critical, and with the reroll every time he uses it because it's only a range 2 attack. We might have pushed that too far. There's an argument that I should bring that back down to being a 6 dicer because the Skull crit and the Tough Claws are already going to make it hit harder than Air Slash ever did. So I don't know. Maybe I bring it down to 6. I think we bring it down to 6. I think that's totally serviceable to be a 6 dicer. And then Tough Claws is also going to apply to the spender, so it's not like you're just switching out the attack. But yeah, effectively what you're trading is 1 range on your attack to give it that Skull as a crit thing instead of its slow, and then you get the Tough Claw to give you a reroll. And I think that's probably fine. It's weird because at 6 dice I almost feel like it's not worth the trade-off, but at 7 dice I feel like it's way too good. So I think it's probably fine. Because of the reroll, I think it's more than fine. And yeah, I think it's gonna be an interesting one. So yeah, we're gonna leave Charizard X as that for now. I think that's totally fine, and we're gonna move on to Blastoise. So Blastoise here, the most recent one we made, he's all about the cannons here. He's got Flash Cannon and Hydro Cannon, and then of course Skull Dash, which I thought was really, really fun while we were working on it. So he's going to be gaining the Mega Launcher ability. Now this is an interesting one because it's very specifically only works on Aura or Pulse moves, which he doesn't have one. We didn't give him Water Pulse, we gave that to Wartortle instead. So that's definitely an interesting one. I don't know how we want to make that work. Now what it's supposed to do is basically just boost the power of these attacks, and that's all fine and good. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure where we go with this one. I think we could very easily say this gives him access to either like Aura Sphere or Dragon Pulse or Water Pulse. Maybe it replaces his builder, just like what we're doing with Charizard. Like he loses Flash Cannon, he gains one of those, and then he gets like a superpower that boosts that up or something like that. Could be interesting. He's definitely the hardest one to figure out here. So first of all, let's see what they're doing with his stats here. So his defensive stats, it looks like, go up by a little bit, nothing too crazy there. Special attack goes well up, physical attack goes up, and for whatever reason it sent me back to the top of the page. But yeah, basically all of his stats raised by 10 to 20-ish, it kind of looks like here, and there's nothing too crazy there. We don't want to touch his defensive stats because we already made this thing incredibly annoying to take down. So we got to be careful with that. Yeah, I don't know where to go with this one, honestly. This one is tricky. I think this might be the hardest one to figure out what to do out of all of them. So honestly, I'm kind of thinking, what if we just gave Blastoise Water Pulse as his builder? I'm a little concerned giving him a 7 dice builder that's range 4, but he's already got a 6 dicer, and it goes to a physical type, which is technically worse. I mean, it's got some great triggers on it and stuff like that, but like, I think it might be fine. I don't know. This is a weird one. I really don't know how to feel about this. But I think that's what we're going to do, because I think that's the thing that makes the most sense here. So, yeah, we're just going to give him the Water Pulse attack. And honestly, I think we leave Flash Cannon on his card. He just gains Water Pulse. He gains an additional thing that he can do. And we're gonna bump it down to a range 3 version of Water Pulse, I think is what we'll do. So it'll be a 7 dicer. It's gonna be a 0 cost. We're not gonna have it be what Squirtle's is, and maybe we'll actually make it a gainer. So you do have to choose between doing this or your Flash Cannon that you already have. So it's going to have that Pulse ability that we've already mentioned, and of course it's going to have the Confusion as well. This is all just coming directly off of Squirtle's card here. And yeah, we're basically saying here's this 3 threat spender. We're going to put it on his card as a gainer. And then yeah, I think that basically does what we're trying to do here. Alrighty, so there we have the Mega Evolution for Blastoise. This one's probably ended up being the simplest one, but took the most thinking to decide what I wanted to do with it. Because it's just giving him the Water Pulse attack. We don't have a superpower or anything like that being given to him here this time around. And yeah, I think that makes sense here, because Water Pulse is the only attack that the superpower would be affecting, so there's no reason to have a thing that just says, hey, this attack that we could have just put the text on the attack, it gets better, it gets rerolls or extra dice or something like that. We could have just put the text for that in the attack, and I don't want to do that because I think I've already made it good enough. So yeah, it gives him a range 3 7 dice physical attack that's free, that's got some pretty solid triggers on it, and it's still a gainer, so it's going to help him get up to being able to do his other abilities here, such as Skull Bash or Hydro Cannon. And I mean, that definitely works for him. One of his biggest issues when we first made him was power generation, so being able to say, hey, here's another thing in his toolkit that hits hard and is going to generate you a little bit of extra power is definitely going to be really, really nice for him. I mean, I could totally see the play pattern of doing stuff like, use that attack and then set up for a Rain Dance or something like that. Although I guess Rain Dance is not enough power, or is too much, not enough actions for that. That's the issue that this model or this character is really going to have, is that he really wants those 3 actions in a turn, but his Mega Evolution doesn't have anything that would make sense to give him that, so also that would probably be way too strong. So yeah, I don't know. He could use it for healing. He could use it just to set up for the next turn, where he then goes for a lower head into a Skull Bash or something like that. So yeah, I think it's really just more tools in his toolkit, and I think that's fine. That's totally good for Blastoise, because he's already got so many things that he can do, and this just gives him another sort of manipulation. He's got kind of good control and damage on Skull Bash and Hydro Cannon. He's got half decent power generation with Flash Cannon, and now he's got another thing that's gonna throw out some conditions and stuff like that, which I think definitely works for what he's kind of trying to do here. So there we go. We've created 4 new Mega Evolution rules here. Yeah, I think we did a solid job here at representing what all of these Mega Evolutions kind of bring to the table, what they change about the characters that they're changing. I'm not sure how we did on the balance side of this, I'll be totally honest. I think some of these would definitely be stronger than others. I was very worried about Charizard X being too strong, and now I'm not sure if I made it strong enough. Charizard Y I think is potentially really, really cool, but we'll see how that would actually play in game. I'm not 100% sure how often flamethrowers gonna be used just power economy wise. And then yeah, Venusaur's is very straightforward, and I think is going to be one of those ones where you play it during situations where you're against an energy heavy team, like if you're against, say, Guardians or something like that. That's where you definitely want to break out something like this. But it's not going to be an every game choice. So, and I think that works. I think that kind of fits what all these characters are kind of going for. So definitely let me know what you guys think down below. Do you guys like the way I've chosen to approach Mega Evolutions here? Do you guys think you guys might have chosen to do it differently? Should I have just done them as entirely new characters with new movesets and new abilities and everything like that? Or do you guys like the idea of them being kind of add-ons to the existing character? Personally, I was feeling really inspired once I thought of this idea, because I wasn't really looking forward to trying to find another way to to recreate the same characters that I'd already done. So being able to kind of say, no, I'm actually just going to modify it, what's already there, works for me. So yeah, I'm definitely a fan of kind of the idea behind this, and I think at least a couple of these I'm pretty happy with the execution as well. So definitely let me know what you guys think down below that. But that is going to do it for this video. So I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you did, please do drop a like down below. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. We do tons of these custom characters here. We do Pokemon and a few other things. And we also have more Pokemon ones over on our members only series. So if you want to see more of this stuff, definitely go check that out. Otherwise, we also do battle reports and things like that. So if you're a fan of any of that stuff, feel free to jump on in. But that's going to do it for this one. So until next time, have a great day, everybody. Peace.